Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Cup of Joe with Joe and Joe podcast. I'm your host, Joe, and with me, as always, is my wonderful co-host, Joe.
I missed my man Yuji. I love him. What a great guy.
I also missed Yuji. I was happy to actually finally see him in this episode. However, I can't say the same for the rest of the episode. I don't know what it is about this week. We got the weakest episode of Bleach last time, and now we're getting the weakest episode of Jujutsu Kaisen this week. I don't know what's going on. I didn't like it that much though.
Okay. This is officially Shibuya Incident. Titled Shibuya Incident.
What a waste of the title.
We're finding out what the plan was that Gato had come up with to, quote unquote, it seems like defeat Gojo. I guess this is what this is all about. And I gotta say, I like the setup of the plan. Like, it makes sense to me, and I'm kind of like, oh, that's smart. And I like how they introduced it with the flashbacks and stuff like that. But you're right, this is a little bit more of a boring episode. But I'm assuming this is kind of just like a lead up to some more things.
Yeah, it feels very much just like pure setup, especially all the stuff that happens with Gojo, because they need to do all that explaining. The anime still doesn't know how to fucking do exposition without just stopping everything and talking to you. Where they're just setting up, okay, here's Gojo, this is our plan. He can't use his abilities around a whole lot of people because he'll hurt them, and he doesn't like to do that. So we're gonna just surround him, not with Jujutsu sorcerers, but with normal, average people, which is why we took him from the whole Shinjuku Halloween-esque stuff. So that's what they're there for. They're scapegoats, so Gojo can't go full power, which is cool in concept. And I'm hoping it really ramps up next episode and we get to see the fruits of the plan here, which I'm sure we will, but I don't know. When you call the episode straight up the same name as the arc, and then it's just like a build-up episode and also an episode where Yuji punches a bug real hard, I don't know, man. Those last two episodes with Mahito and Mekamaru, they kind of overshadow this like a lot.
Agreed. I don't think it's bad, but it was kind of like I thought this was going to be a little bit more exciting. And I gotta say, though, I did enjoy all the Yuji bits. Even, the little fight with the grasshopper curse or locust curse. I thought it was very interesting. They took the time to explain, like a minute of like why people hate locusts. I'm like, oh my god. But the fight, I actually really enjoyed. I liked seeing Yuji kind of think his way through things. I thought the locust devil, oh my goodness, curse. I'm going to get them all mixed up all the time. Was actually pretty interesting, and I liked his character. Again, it's like kind of like just an easy fight or whatever to lead up to fighting Mahito. I thought it was cool. I liked the setup, and I like seeing Yuji back, kind of just getting back into things.
Yeah, it's nice to see him actually doing stuff, because up until now, we hadn't really seen him. The last episode, you get like the one shot of Nobara with, we see Nobara with Mai in the last one. You see Fushiguro with Beanie Boy. And now we see Yuji with Mei. And she's got, is that like her brother? He kept calling her Nisama. I can't remember which one it was. It was Ni something, which I think means sister.
I'm pretty sure. I was a little confused because when like the little American translation popped up, I could not read it because it was like right over top of the Japanese like titles.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know who this person is, but they kind of look like each other. And they have like the same blue hair, so that's what I'm assuming.
Yeah, the whitish blue tinted hair stuff. So I figured they're definitely a part of the same family. Whether it's like her nephew or her little brother, I have no idea. I hated him though. I hated every second of him talking.
Yeah, he wasn't my favorite either, but I don't think hopefully he doesn't come back that much. I think Mei was pretty cool in this episode though.
Yeah, she's pretty cool in almost everything that she's in. I didn't realize that she could like scry with ravens. That was pretty neat. I still don't understand why the front braid, though. Especially, like, in this episode, you see it. Most of the time, it seems like it's off to one side of her face. But I think, in this episode, it kind of confirms that's just a stylistic choice that the animators do sometimes when you get the three-quarter shot of her face. Because when you see her front on, the braid is, like, it's, like, directly proper center of her face.
I like it. I think it looks cool.
I think it would look better if it was off more towards the side, but like there are times where she's just, you just see her turning around.
Almost like Pegasus.
Yeah, exactly. Something like that. That would make more sense to me. rather than just having your hair directly in front of your fucking face.
Just braided, yeah, it's a very unique choice.
Yeah, especially because in the flashback arc, we see her and she has normal fucking hair.
Could you imagine if that like is a plot point at some point later on? It's like
we're gonna see the
somehow...
origins of the front and back braid.
Oh god, like she does it to like, maybe she's concealing something, I don't know.
Maybe she can like spin like a Beyblade and then the two ends of her hair will just like whip across curses and like destroy them.
Well, I gotta say, the setup for this episode at least was, there's a lot of good like thinking going on between Yuji and the other Jujutsu sorcerers, and they're like, okay, we're gonna figure out their plan, they're probably doing this, this, and this, there's 2 veils, that means we have to find Mojito here. And initially, you're like, okay, cool, they figured it out. But it looks like Mojito's running away, or he wants the fight and is like, nope, I gotta follow orders. So I'm very interested to see what the twist is gonna be.
Yeah, so Mojito is not supposed to engage, at least for now. It seems like this is a twist on Toji's plan, where Geto might be trying to wear him down by sending a bunch of different curses at him in the beginning. Then the more powerful ones, like Mojito, he might be saving for a later part, and then he's coming in. Especially because he says at the end of this episode, when he's talking to Volcano Head Man, in the weird pastel flashback when they're at the kids' playground. Also, side note, I understand Volcano Man can't be seen by most of the kiddos there. Geto can definitely be seen there, and I don't care if he is blowing bubbles like an innocent little dude. You see that man on top of your playground talking to seemingly nothing? You get your kids, you get the fuck out of there. You don't want to be there anymore. We're gonna go play in the other playground across town, away from this guy. Anyway, he has like a prison cube that he keeps talking about. He's like, I got the prison realm, or whatever it is. It's the shadow realm. It's the negative zone. It's the phantom zone. There's a lot of zones in comic books. Either way, they clearly don't want to kill Gojo, probably because they don't think they can. They want to imprison him for then whatever happens next, which is what I'm now becoming more interested in. Like, now that we're here, capturing or subduing Gojo is just the first step in whatever this big plan of theirs is. I am interested to see what the second part of their plan is, aside from the nebulous just kill all the monkeys.
Yeah, I enjoyed this episode. I kind of realized early on, I'm like, I feel like we're not going to get a lot, like no like big fights or whatever, and it's just going to be a setup. I will say though, Joe, I feel like the visuals look different again.
Yes, that is something that I did want to comment on. I hesitate to call them worse.
They remind me of more true like comic book or like comic-ish cartoon style.
Yeah, this looks much closer in line with Season 1, especially when we get the Grasshopper Curse. Thicker lines, it's a bit rougher, more like line weight changing, like especially on, like I said, like the Grasshopper Curse. That entire fight between him and Yuji, you can see like the line weight on like the outline of all the characters. It changes, so you'll have like thin outline to bold outline to thin outline again, and it just kind of like switches up as it goes along. And the action, similar to, I think it was the second episode of Shibuya Incident, so the episode previous to this one, where it was a lot more like ink splotchy stuff, especially when like fists are flying, that sort of thing. And then you have like the JoJo scene where it's just the Grasshopper and Yuji punching each other, and it's just, you know, all the fists flying everywhere, and they're getting Grasshopper guys getting punched it all over the place. But yeah, it's weird. There is a through line of style running through the show. Like, there is some consistency, but especially when you get to each of the action scenes, it really feels like they're just getting different episode directors to be like, okay, go for it. And they're just doing it.
It's not a bad style at all. I just prefer the other ones better.
Same. I liked how clean the last two ones were. Like, they just, especially the first one, or was it the second one? Shit. Now I can't remember. I have to go back and see it. But one of those two, it was like super duper clean. I think it was the second episode now that I'm thinking about it.
It was.
Yeah. So the second episode, really clean, nice, crisp. Every image you paused on, every frame was just, oh god, glorious. This one is a lot more like traditional animation type beat, where it's, you got smear frames out the fucking wazoo, you got streaks, you got hatches, you got lines everywhere. Cool. I still kind of prefer the other one. And that might also just be because the subject matter isn't something I inherently care about as much. Like, I like seeing Yuji fight. Unfortunately, if he's not using Black Flash, which I thought he was going to do, like, at the very end of the Grasshopper fight, but then he doesn't. Oh, well. It doesn't look that interesting to me. He just has glowing fists that he kind of punches with. He is quite boring when it comes to his fighting style. Him and Toto, great, because I got the boogie woogie. They can teleport back and forth. They can just punch and kick and do all that sort of shit. That's awesome. This one, I'm just kind of like, I don't care about Grasshopper Man. I don't care that he can extend his abdomen up to 3 times to lay eggs in the ground or whatever. Neither does Yuji. He just beats the shit out of him.
I feel like we didn't get a lot this episode. I feel like there's really not too much to talk about either, and that's kind of like the main point. Like, I watched it and I was like, all right, we didn't really make any big leaps into anything.
I think the only thing left to talk about, Gojo versus the other curses, which again, there's not even a whole lot to talk about there. The curses end up using the normal people. They filter them into where Gojo is because they're in like the underground subway stuff. So Gojo is immediately just like, well, I know I can't use my powers, otherwise everyone here will become piles of blood and meat. And the curses know this, so they go in and they start punching him. And they're utilizing a technique, I can't remember exactly what it's called, but they make it akin to a simple domain kind of a thing. So they're utilizing their energy and they're punching him, and it's starting to break through his infinity. And you're like, oh, okay, that's somewhat interesting. Never for a second did I think it would actually work, though. And of course it doesn't. Like, it's starting to close in, and then he teleports out of there. Of course, Gojo looks great throughout this entire thing. Like, he has such strong poses for being such a simple character design. And then, of course, taking the eye band off, revealing his eyes already glowing, and he's just like, all right, playtime's over, kiddos. But aside from that, not a whole lot else to talk about. You get the flashbacks with Gato and Volcano Man, giving you the context for why they're doing the things that they're doing and what's might be coming next. But other than that, yeah, this entire episode is just like, all right, we're setting up the pieces and we're expositing. We got to get through this, and then I promise, I swear to God, it'll be cool. I promise. Shh, it'll be okay. I promise.
My favorite part of this whole thing is Gojo walking on top of the humans' heads because he can't touch them.
Yep. I noticed that. I was like, oh, he's gonna step. Wait. Nope. It's okay. But yeah, episode 32 of Jujutsu Kaisen. It's titled Shibuya Incident. I don't think it deserves that title unless something drastically switches up the meaning of everything that happens in this episode. Whatever. It's fine. It's alright. I'm looking forward to the next episodes, though. And I hope that all you guys are, too, because so far, this is the only thing that hasn't been like a fucking 9 out of 10 for me out of this season. I love this shit. It's awesome. So, with that being said, everyone, hope you're enjoying it just as much as we are. And as always, remember, we'll love you, we'll leave you, and goodbye.